It makes landfall at 6 a.m., 60 miles southeast of New Orleans. Its 140-mile-an-hour winds pummel the coasts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. The damage is immense. In Mississippi, the hurricane has crushed coastal towns. Hundreds are feared dead.
I was here in Gulfport, Mississippi, along with hundreds of my co-workers from AMR South Mississippi and surrounding operations. We stayed for Hurricane Katrina. We didn't leave. Not one single employee that I know of left their post. Not one single patient died as a result of our failure to evacuate them before the storm. There will be moments of sadness and joy as we relive those days, weeks, and then months after August 29, 2005. I want to share some of the things that I remember from those days. One of the things I remember the most is that the days were endless. Sleeping 2 hours at a time in my chair or in a bunk room and eating at my desk in the Harrison County Emergency Operations Center as we coordinated the evacuation of hospitals and nursing homes with hundreds of patients. I can remember looking at old pictures from Hurricane Camille in 1969 on that Sunday before the storm and thinking to myself there was no way it could be that bad again. Then I heard on the news that Hurricane Katrina's winds were sustained at 185 miles per hour while it was still only a few hundred miles offshore. And I remember that I cried. I remember calling my parents, telling them that I had no idea how bad things would be. And I remember telling my father how hard it was to be brave. I remember we took statements from my co-workers as they stood in the Hancock County EOC watching the water rise, facing what they felt was certain death, in order to pass those messages on to their families. I remember a phone call with a woman in Pass Christian, Mississippi, who chose not to evacuate as the waters rose and she and her children were trapped in their attic. And then the phone went dead. That was right after I told her that the water was too high for help to reach her. I remember a few days later, a search and rescue team found their bodies. They had broken fingernails from trying to scratch through the roof from the inside of the house. Before all the phones went down, I can remember taking phone calls from people that lived in my own neighborhood saying that the water was rising into their houses. I remember not knowing if my family was alive for 2 days. I remember trying to get to my house as soon as the winds allowed and not being able to reach it. And then I remember seeing my family as they somehow managed to get to where I was at the EOC 3 days later. I can remember the child that was found sitting on top of an overturned car on 2nd Street in Gulfport, Mississippi. It didn't have a scratch on him. I remember how noisy generators are at night and how heavy 5-gallon cans of gas are. I remember how it feels to stand in line for water while someone else stands in another line for ice. I remember feeling the cooling breeze going through my front door to the back door, sitting on a cooler in the kitchen in my house, counting the fallen trees in my yard, and drinking a beer. I can remember how wonderful a hot shower feels after 8 days. I remember the good news should be shared right away. Bad news should be shared softly and sincerely over a cold drink. I remember thinking that this will make us all stronger. And you know what? It has. I also remember this, that things are not as I remember them. Most of all, I remember the generosity of my friends and of my coworkers. Yeah, it's true, I do remember a lot. But I know this. We will be here for the next storm. We will overcome. And we will continue to serve the people of this community. I'm very proud of the people and the company that I work for. As you process your own memories, I certainly hope that you will remember the good.